In the heart of the Siberian wilderness, where the air was crisp and the trees stood tall like ancient sentinels, a mother flying squirrel dedicated her days to nurturing her young. The winter had been harsh, each flake of snow that fell a reminder of the challenges her family faced. Yet, within the warmth of their nest, nestled high in the crook of a sturdy birch tree, life thrived. The mother, with her soft, silvery fur and watchful eyes, devoted every moment to feeding her two tiny babies. She would scurry through the snow-covered branches, foraging for nuts and berries, her heart filled with an instinctual drive to build her offspring's strength. As the days turned into weeks, the babies grew plumper and more energetic. Their tiny bodies, once fragile and helpless, began to fill with the vigor of youth. The mother would often sit back, watching them with a mixture of pride and trepidation. She knew that as the cold grip of winter began to loosen, the time would come for her little ones to take flight. It was a pivotal moment, one that would define their lives and mark the beginning of their independence. When the first signs of spring arrived, the world began to awaken. The sun, a golden orb in the sky, cast a warm glow over the landscape, melting the remnants of snow and coaxing the buds to bloom. The air was filled with the sweet scent of new growth, and the trees, once bare, were now adorned with fresh leaves. The mother squirrel felt a stirring in her heart, a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Her babies were no longer the helpless creatures of winter. They were now curious, rambunctious, and ready to explore the vast world that awaited them. One crisp morning, with the sun rising over the horizon, the mother gathered her little ones close. She nudged them gently with her nose, encouraging them to stretch their tiny limbs. The babies, still a bit clumsy, tumbled over one another in their eagerness to play. They chirped and squeaked, their voices a sweet melody that filled the air. The mother watched them closely, her heart swelling with love. But beneath that love lay the undeniable truth. Soon, they would have to leave the safety of their nest and leap into the unknown. As days passed, the mother began to guide her babies through the basics of flight. She would demonstrate the graceful way of gliding from branch to branch, her body soaring through the air with an elegance that seemed almost effortless. The babies watched in awe, their eyes wide with wonder. They practiced flapping their tiny limbs, mimicking their mother's movements, but they were still learning the rhythm of the wind and the art of control. Each time they leaped, they would tumble and roll, landing with soft thuds on the mossy ground below, their laughter echoing through the trees. The mother remained patient, her heart full of encouragement. She knew that every tumble was a step toward mastery, every fall a lesson in resilience. She would gather them close after each attempt, grooming their fur and whispering words of reassurance. "You are strong," she would say, her voice soothing. "You are brave. The sky is yours to claim." The days turned into weeks, and the time for the first flight approached. The mother sensed it in the air, the change, the anticipation. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the forest, she called her babies to her side. "Today is the day," she said, her voice steady. "Today, you will take flight." The little ones looked at each other, their hearts racing with excitement and a hint of fear. They had watched their mother soar, but now, the thought of leaving the nest and gliding into the open sky felt daunting. The mother encouraged them, her eyes sparkling with pride. "Trust your wings, trust yourselves." With a deep breath, she led them to the edge of their nest. The world below was vast and inviting, a tapestry of greens and browns, dotted with the vibrant colors of blooming flowers. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves, whispering promises of adventure. The mother took a step forward, launching herself into the air with a powerful leap. She glided gracefully, her body catching the wind, soaring high above the treetops. The thrill of flight surged through her, a feeling of freedom that she longed to share with her young. The babies watched in awe, their hearts pounding. One by one, they took their places at the edge of the nest. The first to go was the bravest, a little male with a tuft of fur that stood on end with excitement. He peered down, his eyes wide, and with a deep breath, he leaped. For a moment, he felt weightless, suspended in the air, and then he spread his limbs wide, catching the wind. He glided, a little wobbly but determined, landing on a nearby branch with a triumphant chirp. The mother's heart swelled with pride as she cheered for her little one. "You did it! You flew!" The little squirrel beamed, his confidence growing with each moment. Inspired by his courage, the second baby, a feisty little female, followed suit. She took a deep breath, her tiny heart racing, then launched herself into the air. She felt the rush of wind beneath her and let out a joyful squeal as she soared, her body moving in sync with the breeze. She landed next to her brother, both of them chirping excitedly, their spirits lifted by the thrill of their first flight. The mother watched them, her heart a mix of joy and bittersweet longing. They were taking their first steps into independence, and as much as she wanted to hold them close, she knew that this was their moment. She flew to them, landing gracefully on the branch, her eyes shining with pride. "You are amazing! You both flew so well!" The little ones puffed out their chests, their confidence soaring. They began to experiment, leaping from branch to branch, their laughter echoing through the forest. The mother watched as they discovered the joy of flight, the freedom that came with each leap. They chased one another, darting through the trees, their bodies weaving in and out of the branches, their hearts full of exhilaration. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the landscape, the mother felt a sense of fulfillment. Her babies were no longer the helpless creatures of winter. They had transformed into agile, confident flyers, ready to embrace the world. "Remember," she called to them, her voice carrying on the wind, "the sky is your home now. Explore, but always return to me." The little ones nodded, their eyes sparkling with adventure. They took off again, soaring higher and higher, their spirits unbound. The mother smiled, her heart swelling with love and pride. She knew that this was just the beginning of their journey. They would face challenges, learn to navigate the skies, and grow stronger with each flight. But for now, they were free, and the world was theirs to explore. As night fell and the stars began to twinkle above, the mother gathered her babies close once more. They nestled against her, their hearts still racing from the day's adventures. The warmth of their bodies against her fur felt like a comforting reminder of the bond they shared. "You are my brave little flyers," she whispered, her voice soft and soothing. "And no matter how far you go, I will always be here, watching over you." With the moon casting a gentle glow over the forest, the mother closed her eyes, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. Her babies were growing up, and though it filled her with a bittersweet ache, she knew that this was the cycle of life. They would take flight, explore the vastness of the world, and one day they would return, perhaps with little ones of their own. The thought brought a smile to her face, a promise of new beginnings. In the days that followed, the little flying squirrels continued to hone their skills, exploring the vast expanse of their forest home. They learned to navigate the winds, to glide gracefully between branches, and to find food for themselves. The mother watched with pride as they became more adept, their confidence growing with each passing day. They would return to her after their adventures, sharing stories of their escapades, their eyes sparkling with excitement. Spring blossomed into summer, and the forest flourished around them. The trees grew lush and green, and the air was filled with the sounds of life. The little squirrels thrived, their bodies growing stronger, their spirits unyielding. They formed bonds with other creatures of the forest, learning the rhythms of their new world. The mother knew that her babies were becoming part of something much larger, a tapestry of life woven together by the threads of nature. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, the mother also felt the bittersweet pang of separation. Her little ones were no longer just her babies. They were becoming independent, exploring the world on their own terms. She would often watch them from a distance, her heart swelling with pride and a touch of melancholy. They were discovering their own paths, and while she longed to keep them close, she knew that this was the way of life. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the forest, the mother gathered her little ones for one last flight together. "Tonight, we will soar as a family," she said, her voice filled with warmth. The little squirrels chirped excitedly, their eyes bright with anticipation. They climbed to the highest branch of their favorite tree, the wind rustling through their fur, the world stretching out before them. With a deep breath, the mother launched herself into the air, her babies following closely behind. They glided together, their hearts beating in unison, the thrill of flight binding them in a moment of pure joy. The stars began to twinkle above them, a blanket of light in the night sky. And for that moment, they were not just mother and children, they were a family, united in the freedom of flight. As they landed together on a sturdy branch, the mother looked at her little ones, their eyes reflecting the starlight. "You have grown so much," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You are ready to embrace the world, to create your own adventures. But always remember, no matter how far you go, you carry a piece of home with you." The little squirrels nodded, their hearts full of love and gratitude. They understood the weight of her words, the significance of the journey they were about to embark upon. With one last glance at their mother, they took off into the night, their bodies soaring through the air, their spirits unbound. As the mother watched them disappear into the darkness, a wave of emotions washed over her. Pride, love, and a touch of sadness intertwined in her heart. She knew that this was the way of life, the cycle of nature. Her babies were taking flight, ready to carve their own paths in the world. And as she settled onto her branch, the cool breeze rustling through her fur, she felt a sense of peace. They would always be her little ones, soaring through the high skies, and she would always be their mother, watching over them from the treetops, proud of the brave flyers they had become.